Keith Urban quietly leaves the studio without his ring. He's clearly heartbroken. The night was unusually cold in Los Angeles, the kind of chill that settles deep in the bones. Outside a dimly lit recording studio on Sunset Boulevard, photographers waited in silence, their cameras poised like watchful eyes. And then, as the studio door creaked open, Keith Urban stepped out, alone, weary, and without his wedding ring. For a man whose smile once lit up arenas, the absence of that familiar sparkle was striking. Dressed in a simple black t-shirt, jeans, and a baseball cap pulled low, Keith looked like someone trying to disappear into the night. Yet, no matter how quiet his steps, the pain he carried spoke louder than any words. The ring that said everything for years, that silver band on Keith Urban's finger had been more than jewelry, it was a symbol of his unbreakable bond with Nicole Kidman, a love story that once restored people's faith in forever. Fans always noticed how often he touched it while performing, as if drawing strength from it. But tonight, his hand was bare, empty. Paparazzi flashes illuminated his face for a brief moment, long enough to capture the truth he couldn't hide. His eyes, once full of fire and joy, now seemed distant, clouded with exhaustion. He didn't wave, didn't smile, didn't say a word. He simply walked to his car, head down, shoulders heavy, as if the entire world had suddenly become too loud to bear. After the storm, it had been only a few weeks since Keith and Nicole confirmed their separation, a quiet, dignified statement released through their representatives that left fans shocked and heartbroken. There were no accusations, no drama, just two lines that spoke volumes. We have immense respect and love for each other, but our paths are moving in different directions. Insiders say the breakup wasn't sudden. The cracks had been forming for months, missed calls, distant texts, and time spent apart. Keith threw himself into music, Nicole into her films, a source close to the couple revealed. At some point, they stopped meeting in the middle. Those who know Keith say he's been pouring his heartbreak into new songs, working late nights in the studio, his guitar now the only voice he trusts. One insider described hearing him strum the same melody over and over, soft, haunting, and full of ache. It sounded like goodbye, the source whispered. The man behind the music, Keith Urban, has always been the kind of artist who turns pain into poetry. Behind the glimmer of fame, his life has never been simple. Battles with addiction, loneliness on the road, and the struggle to stay true to himself in an industry built on image. Nicole was his anchor through it all. She once said in an interview, "He's the music, I'm the quiet. Together we balance each other." But now that balance is gone. As he left the studio that night, observers said it felt like watching a man trying to hold himself together in silence. A fan standing nearby described it perfectly. He didn't look angry, just empty, like he'd given everything and there was nothing left. The night that spoke louder than words. When Keith reached his car, he paused for a moment, leaning against the door as if catching his breath. For a second, he looked up at the sky, dark, endless, and lonely, before opening the door and slipping inside. Cameras captured the faint reflection of tears glistening under the streetlights. Inside the car, he sat still for nearly 5 minutes, hands gripping the steering wheel but not starting the engine. Perhaps he was thinking of her. The laughter they shared, the promises made on quiet mornings, the way she used to cheer for him from backstage. Or maybe He was just listening to the silence, trying to make peace with it. When he finally drove away, the car disappeared into the night, leaving behind only the sound of distant thunder. A fitting echo for the storm still raging in his heart. Love's fading echo. Friends close to Keith say he's been keeping to himself. He's not the type to go out drinking or partying when he's hurting, one longtime collaborator said. He retreats. He plays. He writes. It's how he heals. It's rumored that his latest song, an untitled ballad recorded just last week, begins with the line, "The ring's on the table, but your voice is in my head." Those who've heard it describe it as his most vulnerable work to date. Every time he sings, you can feel the heartbreak, the producer shared. He's not just mourning the end of a marriage, he's mourning the version of himself that existed when he was with her. The world still watches. Meanwhile, Nicole Kidman has been photographed in Dallas, attending a charity gala, poised and glowing as ever. Fans noticed her smile, but also the trace of melancholy behind it. Despite the separation, both have remained respectful. No words of bitterness, only silence that says what neither can admit publicly. That love, even when it ends, never truly disappears. Social media has exploded with sympathy for Keith. Hashtags like #StayStrongKeith and #Heartbreak in Hollywood have been trending, with fans posting messages of support and old clips of him and Nicole laughing together on red carpets. One fan wrote poignantly, "You can take off the ring, but you can't take away what it meant. Some loves just stay, even when they're gone." A lonely drive, a heavy heart. Later that night, Keith was seen again, this time parked near the ocean, engine off, staring out into the dark waves. Alone with his thoughts, the man who once sang about love everlasting now faced the quiet truth. Even the strongest hearts can break. He didn't look angry or bitter, just lost, the kind of lost that only time and maybe music can mend. As the rain began to fall, he rolled down his window, letting the cool drops touch his face. It was almost symbolic, as if the sky itself was crying with him. Epilogue. The song continues. Keith Urban may have left the studio without his ring, but he didn't leave without hope. Those who know him best say, this heartbreak will eventually become another song, another chapter in the story of a man who has always worn his heart on his sleeve. Because that's who Keith is, a poet in pain, a dreamer who still believes in love, even when it hurts. As he once sang in one of his most haunting lines, "Love's not gone, it's just gone quiet." And maybe that's exactly where Keith Urban stands now, between the quiet of goodbye and the music of healing, walking through the rain, ringless but still holding on to the only thing that ever saved him, the song in his heart.